Hello, friends. Good day. Joseph Conrad, the author of Heart of Darkness, had written another outstanding novel. The name of this novel is Lord Jim. So, this is published in 1900. Lord Jim is a novel by Polish-British writer Joseph Conrad. So the novel is framed as a conversation between an unnamed narrator and the sea captain Charles Marlowe. Marlowe has spent many years ruminating about an acquaintance of his sailor named Jim, who spent his short life fleeing the disgrace of youthful decision to abandon ship. The son of an English person, Jim decided at an early age to make his career at sea. While still in training, Jim reveals a streak of cowardice when he fails to assist a vessel damaging during a storm. Afterward, he rationalized this failure by telling himself that was not afraid but waiting for a challenge worthy of his courage. After recovering from an injury, Jim ships out as first mate on the Patna, an elderly iron tramp steamer taking 800 pilgrims of an exacting belief to a port of Red Sea. Several days out to sea, the ship hits some wreckage. Examining the damage, Jim concludes that the bulkhead is about to collapse. There is no possibility of saving everyone on the ship. Jim wants to do his duty and put as many passengers as possible on the lifeboats. However, the captain and the other crewmen choose to save themselves, leaving the passengers to their fate. Refusing to help them, Jim remains on the ship until he sees a squall on the horizon. At the last moment, Jim abandons ship and joins the captain in the lifeboat. Jim and the crew watched as the Patna is tossed by fierce waves. Jim imagines he can hear the scream of the dying passengers. Some days later, the crew is picked up by another steamer and delivered to a port in the Far East. They have agreed on an alibi for their desertion, but their cover is blown when the Patna is found. Still afloat by another ship and towed to port, a magistrate court is convened to try the crew for their desertion. But the rest of the crew abscond, leaving him to face the court alone. He insists that although he may have acted wrongly, there is not the thickness of a sheet of paper between the right and wrong of this affair. Among the audience at the trial is Captain Charles Marlowe. He is horrified by Jim's conduct, but he comes to realize that the young man is racked with guilt and shame, and he recognizes something of himself in the torture. Sailor, at the end of the trial, Jim is stripped of his naval certificate and Marlowe helps him get back on his feet. However, each time Jim finds a place to live as a decent job, his equilibrium is disturbed by a reminder of the Patna affair and he disappears to start again somewhere else. Marlowe tells Jim's story to his friend Herr Stein. Stein concludes that Jim is a romantic and suggests that he might like to take over Stein trading station in Patusan, a remote island where no one will have heard of the Patna and where Jim might have space and time to come to terms with himself. Marlowe relays this affair to Jim, who has accepted. Then what happened? Jim takes over the Patusan trading post for his untrustworthy predecessors, Cornelius, and quickly makes a success of it. He earns the trust of the local people, the Bugis, Malayas, by protecting them from a bandit, Sharif Ali, and the corrupt local ruler, Raja Tunku Alang. In this adventure, he is aided by Doramin's Steen Malay friend and Doramin's son Dane Waris, with whom Jim becomes close friend. Doramin people begin to call him Tuan Jim, Lord Jim, and he falls in love with a Jewel, a mixed race woman of the tribe. Marlowe visits Patusan and finds Jim happy, although not so happy that he is not made a little uneasy by Marlowe's visit, which reminds him of his shameful past. While Jim is away in the island interior, a renegade sea captain known as Gentleman Brown arrives on Patusan, hoping to plunder the Bugis Malayas village for supplies. Dane Waris leads a successful defense of the village, pinning the pirates on a defensible knoll. When Jim returns, Dane Waris advises that the entrapped pirate be killed, but Jim decides to negotiate with Brown. Recognizing Jim's guilty conscience, Brown manipulates Jim into letting him go. Jim promises Brown safe conduct downriver to the sea, and to the villagers he promises that Brown man will not harm them, pledging his own life as security. Cornelius, who has been waiting for an opportunity to oust Jim and resume his command of Stain Post, tells Brown about a side channel on the route to the sea which allow him to bypass the village defenses. Brown ambushes the villagers, killing Dane Waris amongst others, and escape. When Jim learns of the Dane Waris death, he is horrified. Jewel and his servant Tamby Tom urge him to flee or else to arm himself to fight off the villagers. Vengeance. However, Jim chooses to hand himself over to Doramin, who shot Jim through the heart, allowing him to die with pride. Touching on the theme of colonism, heroism, and the nature of evil, Lord Jim explored the lasting effects of guilt and shame. Together with The Heart of Darkness, his other novel, and Nostromo, Lord Jim has secured Joseph Conrad's place as one of the English language most influential novelists. So, this is the story of the Lord Jim, written by Joseph Conrad, a very remarkable novel I have ever read. I hope you will read the book, the main book, and you will enjoy this book. Thank you very much for patient listening.